Okay, students, so today we're going to talk about how to troubleshoot a cable that you've made. In the previous video that I created, I talked to you about how to actually make a cable. If you will recall, the cable that we made, we had to make it with the correct cable order. So if you will recall, when we did our cable order, we put them in the, when we terminated it, we put it in the order, sorry, I'm getting used to this camera. Orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. Now that is what's called T568B, like boy, pinout. There's another one called T56A pinout, but we'll talk about what that means when we get in a little bit further into troubleshooting. First of all, I want to show you how to troubleshoot a cable. Now, everything that we do with the CTECH courses is simulated. So what that means is that instead of building a million cables and then troubleshooting them, we instead have a more sustainable method. So what I've done is I've got these jump cables here. I've got one that represents our orange-white wire, one that represents our orange wire, one that represents our green, white, and green wires. I'm sorry, that first set I showed you was the brown, white, and brown. This is the orange, white, and orange. I know that that's yellow, but that's the best I could do with the tape that I had. And then we have blue, white, and blue. All right. So what I want to do is you'll see these pinouts right here. These down here, and you can't see it on the camera. Give me just a second. Okay. Tilt this a little bit. Yeah, you can see that on there. Okay, these pinouts down here represent the 8 pins in each end of your cable. So what we're going to do is on the top row, on our first terminator, we're going to go orange, white. I did it again. I apologize. We're going to go orange, white. Orange. And then take a second to tell me which one I'm going to take next. If we're doing the 568B pinout like we're talking about. Okay, we're going to take the green white into pin 3. Okay, which one's next according to 568B? That's right, blue. Okay, next, blue, white, green, brown, white, and brown. Now you may ask why the pairs don't get put right next to each other. We'll talk about crosstalk in a separate video, but for right now, just trust me that this is the industry standard. Orange, white, orange. Let me show you these as I go. Orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, and brown. Just for right now, trust me that that is the industry standard. If you pick out your cable at home and you look at it, you'll actually see them in this exact same order in most cases. All right, so if we want to represent a cable that looks exactly like what we would see at home, all I want to do is put my pins in the same order on the opposite side. So this bottom row of outlets represents the other end of my cable. Okay, so when I say the other end of my cable, what we're saying is that this tip is represented by this row. This tip is represented by this row. So you see I've got 2 tips on this wire. All right, so again, I'm going orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, and brown. All right, now, when we want to test a cable, let's see here. When you're in the field, you're going to have different tools to test a cable, and you'll learn how to use those when you are actually in the field. But for this class, what we were doing is we were actually using, again, test equipment. So this test equipment was designed to help you see more easily exactly what goes on with cable testing. So what I've done is on one end of my setup, I've plugged in a cable that's going to send a signal. And now I'm plugging in a cable that's going to receive that signal. You can see transmitter and receiver. All right. So I've got these plugged in straight across. Now when we look at it, I'm going to go ahead and send the cable, watch the lights on the, or send the signal, watch the lights on the receiver. There we go. All right. Pair 1, pair 2, pair 3, pair 4. All right, so what that means is that this cable that I have simulated here is a good cable, because pair 1, which are your blue cables, are talking to each other. Pair 2, which is your orange cables, are talking to each other. Pair 3, your green cables, are talking to each other on each end. And pair 4, your brown cables, are talking to each other on each end. Now there are several different scenarios that I'm going to address with this when you're troubleshooting a cable that you might run across when you're in the field. So say that I have, this is the cable that I made. You can kind of see the cable, the color order in the cable. The orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. Matches on both ends. All right. So what if, though, I had a cable that for some reason gave me a wrong light? You have a few different possibilities that can happen. You have what's called a reversal. You have an open or short. You might have a split pair, or you might have a transposal. Now, each of those means something a little bit different. We'll start off with the reversal. So let's say that we had, let's take our blue pair here. Let's say that we had our blue-white in the spot where the blue is on our front end, on our first end. And we did the same thing with the blue into the blue-white. So now I have swapped the cables on blue, white, and blue on the back end of this cable. Okay? See how those two wires are crossed? Now, watch what happens on these Dave transmitters. My pair 1 lit up red. Did you catch that? Watch again. All right. So what that means is that first of all tells me I've got a problem somewhere in my cable. Now we know how this was set up. So we know that we have accidentally switched our blue and blue-white cables, our pair 1 cables. So as soon as I put those back in place, which on a regular cable would require you to basically re-terminate one end, we go, now we're green all the way across. So that is what's called a reversal, where you have taken what is called the tip, which is your white cable, and your ring, which is your solid color cable, and you flip-flop them. Okay. So, Another scenario is maybe we've got one where it's open or short. So let's say I did not get, in my cable that I created, I did not get my orange cable all the way into the terminator. Let me show you what happens when that occurs. We go pair 1. See that split pair? All right. So what that means is that in this case, it's saying split pair means that there's something going on with the with our cable once again. It could be that it wasn't touching. Split pair means that you have something else going on. But what we can look at is when we look at the cable, we see, oh, this pin is not all the way in. So we re-terminate it and get back to our good result. All right, now the light you saw that said split pair, let me show you what that actually means. So you've got your color pairs. Let's say that when I terminated on my second end, instead of doing my green, white, blue, blue, white, green, on my second end, I went green, white, green, blue, white, blue. Okay? Watch the lights. Okay, did you see that split pair light up on pair 1 and then again on pair 3? That tells me I've crossed the wire somewhere. So when you think about it, going back and looking at the split pair, you go back and look at that end and you're like, oh, well, I've put my green where the blue should be going and vice versa. So re-terminate my cable, fix that. All right. Now here's another one, because maybe for some reason you have put a completely different order on one end of your cable. So instead of doing our orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown that we would do, we've done green, white, green, orange, white, blue, blue, white, orange, brown, white, brown. Now this is a special type of cable, but I want to show you the example of what this would look like in a troubleshooting situation. Because what we've been working with is what's called a straight through cable. It's where each pair of each pin at each end talks to each other straight through. So pair 1 or pin 1 is expecting the orange, white on each end, etc. All right, so watch the lights. 1, 3, 2, 4. What's that mean, though? Okay, what that means is that if I've got the standard order on this end, it means that I need to look closer at this end and see what's going on. Maybe I've got my green, white over here on the end and my orange in the middle, which is what we've done on here. All right. So, of course, to fix that, we would need to re-terminate. And just adjust our wires. Like so.